on Tuesday rather than Monday, 6 o'clock in this chamber. We'll pay bills, we'll approve minutes, and we'll begin the consent agenda with item number 3, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Placer AI. Welcome, Mr. Corey.
Hello. This item is to amend our agreement with Placer AI. Placer is a market intelligence platform. We use Placer to identify demographic and pattern breakdown of consumers for current and future retail hotspots across the city. Our contract ended in August, so we're asking for a prorated period of 2 months. This amendment will also change our renewal date to October to align with the city's fiscal year's budget.
Any questions by the body for Mr. Furr? Easy enough.
Awesome, thank
Thank you, sir. Item number 4 is a resolution accepting a change order for the Applecross sanitary sewer pump improvements. Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. This resolution is for the approval of change order number 1 for the Applecross Pump Station Improvements Project in the amount of $58,079.67. Project is located adjacent to 3524 Chickering Circle and Lake Heather in Inverness. Change order includes additional geotech work and costs associated with renting backup pumps and generators that were required to complete the project that were not part of the original scope or bid in this project. Basically, the equipment of the old pump station wore out, and we had to use some backup equipment until the new equipment got on site. The total new contract price will be $1,620,020.67, and additional funds are currently budgeted. Mr. Jason Welch, project manager for this project, is here as well with me tonight. If you have any other questions about the project, he'll be glad to answer that.
Any questions for Mr. Reeves or Mr. Welch?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 5 is a resolution amending the budget for the purchase of a LRAD system. Mr. Fountain and Ms. Cornett want to tag team this one?
Good evening, council. We're asking for $48,000 of our federal inmate money to be moved over so that we can purchase a long-range acoustic device, LRAD, and that's a crowd dispersement tool, and that includes all the accessories needed as well. So it's on GSA contract, so there's no bid process or anything like that.
Very good. Any questions for the XO? Thank you, sir. Ms. Cornett, anything to add?
Yeah, I'd like to speak to the funding for that. So this is not something that's being funded by the general fund. It is coming out of some funds that are set aside in grants that are part of the monies the police department receives from housing federal inmates. So there's adequate funding there to be able to use that project.
That continues to be a good program, doesn't it, XO?
Yes, sir.
How many were sleeping down there every night? 40, 45?
Roughly, yes, sir.
Always room for one more.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions? Very good. Thank y'all. Item 6 is a resolution to amend the budget for Sulphur Springs Road and Alcere sidewalks.
Yes, sir. This one, budget amendment request is to provide additional funding, cover the costs with overruns associated with the Sulphur Springs Road and Alcere Road sidewalk project that's currently going on. The reallocated funds are from completed sidewalk projects or projects that we have identified that are no longer needed.
Any questions for Mr. Reeves?
Thank you, sir.
It's a good project. Thank you.
Y'all want to know more specifics or not? There's 2 projects that were fully completed and had budget left over, and then there was one project that was decided no longer needed.
Yep.
All of the funds are already sitting in capital projects, so we're just talking about diverting those funds from the old projects to the new one.
And all is a part of the long-term sidewalk and trail plan that was developed a while back, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so no question.
Very good. And what Ms. Cornett's referring to is on page 26 for the $113,800 .02 that's being
Yes,
reapplied.
right.
Any other comments or questions? Item number 7, resolution accepting an award from Alabama State Representative Lee Halsey for the Hoover Police Department.
Yes, we would recommend that we accept these funds and make the funds available to spend for the police department.
As you can see, it's a $5,000 grant from the state. Any questions on that item?
Yeah, there's 2. I think the next item is similar.
Yes, you're correct. Item 8
Yes,
is also accepting a grant from David Faulkner from the Community Service Grant Fund.
and that's the one I believe was $2,500, but the same situation. We received the funding, and so we're just asking for permission to be able to spend those funds in connection with receipt of the grant.
Any questions on that item? We'll ask Mr. Faulkner why he's giving us half of what Ms. Halsey is. Item number 9, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Knox Pest Control. Mr. Aldaca.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 9, 10, and 11, I think those are our annual agreement for maintenance services. The one with Knox Control is for pest controls for city services, city buildings. And we get it running with our fiscal year. So it will start October 1st and will end September 30th of next year.
Any questions for Mr. Aldaca?
Number 10 is Johnson Control is our HVAC contract. It's a maintenance contract for all city buildings, and it's the same thing. We have an increase this year of about $33,000, but we were able to accommodate that within our operating budget, so we will not be asking for additional funds.
Any questions or comments on the Johnson Controls item? And then item number 10.
Number 10 is
I'm sorry,
our-
that was Johnson Controls. Number 11.
Yes, sir. Number
Shoal
11 is
engineer.
our floodplain management consulting services with Shoal Engineers. We do this yearly. This is just a renewal. Approximately, I think it's 92,000 plus or minus. And part of this agreement, they provide a certified plane manager staff 8 hours a week in our facilities, just handling all of our floodplain management.
Any questions or comments for that item 11? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Aldaca.
Thank you.
We'll now move to regular agenda items, beginning with item number 12. This will be a second reading of ordinance to 2-year term for the office of president and pro tem. Mr. Murphy, anything to add on that?
Unless anybody has anything else to say, it's the same principle.
Any comments or questions from members? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Item 13 is resolution declaring weeds. Mr. Martin?
We did have some good news this week. There were, 2 properties that corrected themselves. So we are down to those listed here. We have 2687 John Hawkins Parkway, and that is the one nuisance declaration that we have on the agenda this evening. We will, of course, update you Monday, or Tuesday, rather, if there are any changes in the status of this property over the weekend.
What property is that? You may have said earlier. Do you know, it's a commercial, I'm assuming?
Let me double check real quick.
I can look it up.
It is a property located next door to Curry Jefferson,
Curry Jefferson, yep,
an office property.
yep, okay. Across from Hoover Toyota.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, we'll just let you roll through 14 through 19, if you'd like.
All right, that sounds good. As of right now, we have, for first readings for abatement, 103 Inverness Corners, 104 Inverness Corners, and 105 Inverness Corners. Those are three retail locations adjacent to Highway 280 in the retail sector of Inverness. We also have three additional abatement first readings, 1828 Valgreen Lane, 2049 Sweet Gum Drive, and 2060 Wood Meadow Circle. Again, with each of those, we will have an update for you early next week, and hopefully we get a few more off of the list with the long weekend.
I think Strollaway is one that got cleaned up, didn't it?
It is. Strollaway was cleaned up here over the last 24 hours. And let's see, we also have the weed and grass side of 2272 Vanessa Drive. The weeds and grass have been taken care of. We're still pursuing some property maintenance items in municipal court.
And that is
Altadena,
Altadena Woods. Yes, thank you. Any
house has been abandoned for some time.
Yeah, I know we've done some remedial work over there in the past.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions on 14 through 19? Finally, item 20 is on first reading for ordinance 24-2659 to amend our
Yes.
city code.
Yes, sir. This is zoning property that was recently annexed on Highway 280, the American Family Care, and there's also a nursery daycare institution behind that one. And we are proposing that the American Family Care site right on the 280 frontage be zoned C2, community commercial, and the property to the rear would be zoned C1, neighborhood business district. The reason for that, of course, not only is the daycare property not directly on the frontage of Highway 280, where your more traditionally automotive-heavy retail businesses would be located, but also daycare centers are not permitted by right in the C2 district under our current code. So we're trying to go ahead of time and keep from having a case where we have a nonconformity with the zoning code. The Planning Commission reviewed this case and offers its favorable recommendation to this body.
Any comments or questions on this item for Mr. Martin? That is a first reading. No action will be taken on Tuesday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I should have noted on these Inverness properties, Representative Arnold Mooney sent an incredibly complimentary message to the mayor and me regarding the city's work on that. And as the body knows, that was more than just getting grass cut. That required a tremendous amount of work by a lot of folks to work with a lot of parties, including residents, business owners, a defunct HOA, and that was a pretty remarkable feat there.
Our hope is that it's a long-term solution
Yes,
and not one we have to revisit anytime soon.
that's right, but I did want to pass on Mr. Mooney's kind remarks on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Grimes?
Well, good evening. It is budget time, and so as we were sitting here, I just forwarded you all the same information we just sent the department heads. So I do apologize. That's on me for just getting that out. We had a lot of tweaking over the last few days. So tomorrow is our first budget hearing that we've set, and we're working around the holiday weekend as well as moving into what our normal schedule would be in September in hopes that we can approve a budget for our city prior to October 1. So tomorrow morning in here in the council chambers, 9 to 12, we'll have that. Now, for those of you that can make it back, you'll have your binders sitting at your desk there. I apologize that we didn't get those. They're actually being prepared now, and they are thick. And so what we have done, and I included in that information, you'll see of who will go in what order, and some of those are short, some are a little bit longer, but we've provided a mechanism of a summary sheet. So you'll see that, and we'll go over that in the morning. So for those of you that can't be here, I know we've got several who've said you have conflicts and things, but at the end of the day, we will, if you will let us know how to get the binder to you, and we'll get that binder to you at your convenience as fast as we can. And then the next budget hearing number 2, picks back up Wednesday, 5 to 7. So that gets us past the holiday weekend. We'll have our normal council meeting on Tuesday, and then we'll have the budget hearing 5 to 7 Wednesday night next week. The goal from that is to move forward with then your feedback, which you'll see in the cover letter that you have there, and it'll be in your binders, and feedback and input that we'll then take and process and try to adjust and squeeze to get that ready for your first reading of the mayor's proposed budget. And that would come. So what we're trying to do is set a special call meeting. I know there's been some communication. And Wendy, did we get that set for the first reading? I know we were looking at the Monday, but we had planning and zoning.
We do
so
not have that set yet.
Okay. So I know that was, you had, Christie, you had the challenge of you were in planning and zoning, and we had originally said it, not realizing planning and zoning was the same night. So we're trying to get either a special call there, or worst case, give ourselves the opportunity to go through the 2 readings, and then by the last Monday, as a worst case scenario, I think that's September 29th or so, before we get to October, we could have a special call and approve the second reading at that time. So we've got 3 weeks to try to figure out how to get through the changes, the adjustments, once we have the hearings and then any feedback from you. It's a fast process, but the goal is to try to reach October 1. If we don't, then we'll work through that with a continuing resolution, as you may remember from many years past. And obviously, part of that was the recent financial audit being finished to get us up to date for September of '23. Fast forward, the finance staff now, through Ms. Cornett and the staff, are working to try to get our projections and such. And I know many of you have pointed that out in our previous meetings, so we totally understand that. And so we're trying to have all that information where you can then process the fiscal year '24 actuals or a projection of what we estimate to be, such as the excess. So that's part of where making it fit. So what we've done with the binders, because you have 4 of your 5 budget team are relatively new to the positions, not just myself, Ms. Cornett, Claire Hamilton is the only continuation, if you will, and then Mindy White's new to that, and then Misha is new in the Misha Walker is new in the HR role as HR director. So you have a lot of faces that are new to the positions, but we're learning the process with what happens in this city. So that's why it was important to us to collect everything, lots more information than you want, but from all the departments, it's what they've identified as the needs that they actually carry through the city. So we'll process it, squeeze it down, and hopefully develop a plan for 3 to 5 years of how to accomplish a lot of the big, expensive things that are on the horizon. So with that, the goal is also that we will record these. The citizens can watch them live, correct, Ms. Dickerson? Is that how we're doing when we record?
That is correct.
So they can watch live, or they can watch it at a later time as it'll be on the website to hear the information, the discussions, and the presentation. So trying to bring that. I know the buzzword is transparency, which is what we're trying to accomplish with this. So please understand this is a lot of information, and we know the time is compressed. So we'll do our best to see if we can come to a conclusion before October 1. Any questions of that process? And don't be offended. We've told the department heads, when they get up here, if there's a timer, that's trying to just keep us on task to respect your time. We know you all are busy. I also know there's a big game on Friday night, and there'll be probably tailgating beginning in that afternoon. We know that. But with the holiday, I'm sure you've been up against this in the past at times as you were on a schedule. So that's probably also with Labor Day and football games. Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question, Mr. President. When do we expect to have the notebooks ready? Will they be ready before tomorrow morning or first thing if I wanted to come in early to review?
She may have some sitting back there ready now. She's back there now. If she's not in here, because it's all laid out outside of my office on those tables. So if you want to see if there's anything close, or tell us, like I said, if you're not here tomorrow, tell us how we can get it to you and we'll deliver it to you, because it's important for us to get it to you. We just apologize. There's a lot of information trying to make sure it's in the order that will be readable and easy. It's not easy when it's this thick. Yeah. So mine is this thick, but I think we've got y'all's to maybe this. Right. Department heads are very excited about the budget process. Do this. And we look forward to bringing a great budget for the citizens of Hoover.
Yes, I got a question. Yeah, so, question for you. Do we have, for our meetings, any type of video, audio conferencing for meetings for this particular one on tomorrow? And also, I know, we talked earlier, but in the beginning of the year, but it was in passing. I think it's some state statute, and it may only apply to utilities, maybe, public, I don't know, that if you're in two different counties, you have the ability to phone in for many of us to travel, and still you're eligible to vote. You just have to do a roll call. So we can just research that piece of it as well, too, because there's some state statute that allows, if you're a city or whatnot into two counties, you have that capability, more than one county, basically. And it may only apply for X. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I just know who it applies to. Thank you.
Now, that brings up a good point for tomorrow for you guys. If you're watching remotely, I know Dr. Middlebrooks had said, if I can text you, if I'm watching and I'm able to hear and I can text you, I said, yes, send the questions. And that way, at least if it's something I can ask right there while we're going through. What you'll realize for these two budget hearings tomorrow and next Wednesday, the goal is to present to you as much as we can. To stay on the schedule and to limit it to 5 hours total of what we've got to fit y'all's schedules. The goal is to then get as much feedback once we've heard all the presentations. So if you notice on that timeline, there's not really a lot of time for dialogue and feedback. And I apologize if that's not the way you're used to it, but we're trying to accommodate most of the things you all told us when we met with you individually. And so that'll be an opportunity just to text it to me, and then we can go from there, and I'll try to get the answer while we're in the meeting if it's something that you see.
Very good. We'll see everyone at 9 o'clock in the morning. We're adjourned. Thanks.